We're excited to bring us all back together. Officially, I'm Joni Fedders, and I've had the privilege to be part of this community for over 15 years. So I started as a business owner, taking the course for presidents, strategic planning, and a board. I think there I realized I probably shouldn't be a business owner. I've taken the course 9 times since then, so I'm a slow learner, but it's been really enjoyable. Whether you get engaged as a facilitator, a board member, a financial contributor, a business owner, a peer group, there's so many ways to learn and grow, and that's what's just thrilled me here, and also had the chance to kind of be part of the forming of it. So it's a lot of fun. There's a huge statement that's being made in this room right now, and that's what excites me the most about having a summit and a chance to do that, and that is that there are 200 people here that we held it to 200, but there's 200 people in here that really realize a lot of the value that they can bring to themselves, to their businesses, and others is by taking the time out to work on what's really important in the long term instead of just the urgent. And it's really easy to get caught up in urgent, and it's hard to take the time out to do this kind of stuff. So I commend you. I commend this group of people, and I really am excited for what we're going to learn. We used to describe people who we worked with in my probably 3rd grade language, which was, I used to say, well, we work with unsexy businesses because they're not the ones that are out raising capital. They're the ones that care and they want to build for the long term, and that's where my heart always was as well. So I told David at lunch I want to steal his evergreen language because it's a nicer way to say it, but that's what's in this room. It really is there's a lot of evergreen businesses in here. You've always been looking for the longer term and working on the longer term. So as you think about that, it starts with dreams. It starts with, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be changing slides. Here we go. It starts with the bigger picture. And lots of people have phrased this differently, but a vision without a plan is just a dream. A plan, certainly, without a vision is drudgery. But a vision with a plan can change the world. And that's what I think you're doing here. I think you're positively impacting the world. And the vision we have together is to take all those visions in your heads, thousands of them, and perpetuate those into healthy businesses that thrive across America. That's the vision. Collective visions that create a difference. The plan to me is pretty simple. And that's you're raising your quality of leadership and continuing to be a professional manager and learning how to grow as a leader. And you're really doing it around a simple structure of looking at the long term and saying, what's going to be relevant to our customers in the future? It's looking at how do we grow our people now and in the future. Someone asked me once, are we just growing our people because we're kind of fat and happy right now and it's easy to spend money to go send people to training? And my question back to him is, when the crap hits the fan, when do you want to be training your people? And you want to be training them now, so when the crap hits the fan, the recession hits that we're going to talk about a little bit later, or the fears, or the lost customer, or the change in the marketplace, whatever, you want your people to be ready. So you're developing them for now and for the future. You're looking at business structures and how do we change our structures and flow our models. You're looking at the organizational system and processes. So all of this is part of the plan of how do you instill professional management into your cultures and really make it a way to be a business. What I think binds us together and actually attracted us to each other is this common belief. And I think we all believe that business is a vocation, that there is a higher purpose in what we do, and that free enterprise is an instrumental part of our society. And so there's a lot of good work here. I think in the words of conscious capitalism, it's good, it is noble, it is heroic, and it is necessary. And I truly believe that we all believe that. I think we also believe that management is a profession. It is something that you're not born into. It's not some personality trait you have, but it's something to be learned, to be studied, to be practiced, and actually be mastered. And I promise you, there are some incredible thought leaders here. People that are practicing in their businesses, people that are learning it, just around every corner. Look to your left, look to your right, Look to the front, look around the corners. You're going to meet people that are really at the forefront of all of this thought. And it's really going to be fun to kind of spend that time. So if I look at the personality of the audience here and why I love to work here and why most of us love to join this community is you find conscious leaders. People that are really trying to have brave conversations, to be aware and intentional of what they're doing. You find people that are continuous learners. So most people here are pretty humble and they don't find joy in having the answer. They find joy in finding the answer with others and through others. We look about a community that looks at progress over perfection. So it's not about someday I'll be ready for this. It's today, and what are we working on today, and what are we going to be doing in the future? And how do we unpack those things we need to do, like Joe was talking about, to take a small step to the bigger dream. So big dreams can be really big, and this group is really good about unpacking the small steps that move forward. And at the end of the day, I think we're a we community. We really take joy in the fact that there's not one hero amongst any of us, but there's lots of heroes that all together work together as a system to race this. So welcome. We're excited to have the opportunity to gather as a community, and look forward to, I can't wait to see what I'm learning. So I've already learned a lot from a lot of different people.
Don't share that one.
Oh, sorry, I don't know how to backwards. There we go.
Thank you. All right. Well, it's quick enough after lunch that hopefully you guys won't fall asleep on me. All right. That's for Wes when he gets up here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Chuck Huggins. I have the privilege of being the Chief Operating Officer here at Aileron. And I spend a lot of my time every day thinking about what we should be working on based on what you guys are asking for and what we're experiencing as we work with you guys. So naturally, I spend a lot of time figuring out, trying to figure out what makes people tick. So there was a study just recently done by Dr. Robert Leahy at Yale University that says that he found out that the average high school student today has the same level of anxiety that a psychiatric patient had in the 1950s. So let me say that again. So the average high school student has the same level of anxiety that a psychiatric patient had in the 1950s. What do you think that means? Do you think that stops with high school students? It goes to all of us, right? And why do you think that is? We have better health care, we have safer cars, we have more money. So why do you think anxiety is higher? Everything that's going on around us, right? How many thoughts do you have going through your head right now? Stuff that you should be working on, stuff that you should be doing, right? That's the anxiety piece. So who believes anxiety and fear are the same thing? Anybody? Lois does. Somebody else raise their hand. Nobody else does? Sure. Okay. Yeah. So I would tell you that they're not. So
The big green button.
So if you're standing in front of the woods and you see this coming, that's fear. Right? What are you going to do? Are you going to make a decision? Yeah, right? Outrun, right? So the bear's coming out of the woods, you know something's coming at you, right? You're going to make a decision. So sometimes I hear people say fear is paralyzing. I don't believe that. Because you're either going to run, you're going to play dead, you're going to stand up and fight, you're going to do something. Anxiety is standing there wondering when and if the bear will ever come out of the woods. That's more paralyzing. So as you're sitting there today, what bear are you thinking about? What bear are you waiting on that's holding you back, that's paralyzing you right now? So you have all these thoughts going in your head. You're not doing something because you're waiting on something else to happen, right? So there is a difference between anxiety and fear. Fear, you will make a decision. Anxiety keeps you from making a decision. So what's anxiety have to do with Aileron? You might ask. So as we continue to practice what we preach and work on our value proposition, why would somebody buy from us versus somebody else out there that's consulting and working with small business? Why would they choose us? Why would they pay us? And we think about that all the time. And over the years, we've seen changes. One of the changes that we've recently seen, and we joked about it internally for a little bit, not really, but we started seeing tissue boxes appear all over the campus. Why is that? Well, we had a lot of people crying. So if you look at Joe up here this morning, Joe Motes, he was emotional on stage, right? Why do you think that is? We didn't realize it for a while, but what we're doing with you guys is creating an environment that you can be vulnerable, that you can tell us about your anxieties. You can share those with us. Maybe you can't share them with anybody else, but you can share them with us. And that really gets emotional sometimes. And you might ask, why does it get that way? We use a model here, and a lot of you have probably experienced this model. It's what we call thought, emotion, action. So as you're sitting there today, how many people have a bunch of thoughts running around in their head? Who has anxiety right now? Okay. I want to talk to the people that don't. So if you look at this, what we believe is when you feel that anxiety, that's an emotion you have. And a lot of time, what happens is when you see something going on, we either work on the emotion or the action. Really, everything happens because of a thought. So you have all these thoughts in your head going on. If I do this, this is going to happen. Or if I do this, it's scary, right? That's an emotion. Or I'm anxious about that. The action could be, I'm not going to do anything, right? So where we try to work, where we're finding we're working with clients is we used to work a lot around the action part. So one of the things we do really good, really well, is curate and develop content and connect it within the doc model. So that's the technical side. What we're finding is we're working with you as much on the emotional side as the technical side. And what we're finding is it's actually having a bigger impact and creating sustainable change. Because we're helping you break through those emotional barriers. And how are we doing that? We're taking you back to the thought. And we get back there. And when you get back there, a lot of times it becomes very emotional. And that's why we need the Kleenexes. So if you take, one of the things we hear a lot is when we're going through value proposition, business advisor, as a group, you might say, you know what? Our biggest customer is not the customer we need. That's pretty scary. So if you have a customer, your biggest customer, that's creating chaos for you day after day, and somebody says, well, just fire the customer. Just fire him. You don't need to put up with that. What would be your thoughts around that? Yeah, I might have to lay people off. I'm not going to survive. Nobody else will buy this service. All those thoughts which create a certain emotion, which will create an action. And in that scenario, a lot of times it's, I'm just going to keep dealing with it. So how do we help you guys work through that? We'll go back to the thought. So we do a lot of listening. I would say 8 years ago, we did more telling than listening. Today, we do more listening than telling. But you guys don't want to be told what to do, right? But you want to be challenged. So we'll get back to the thought and maybe ask you a question like, what would your day look like if you didn't have to deal with that customer? What thought would you have around that? It'd be great, right? Then that prompts a certain emotion, which may get you closer to the action that you need to do. Does that make sense? So if you take one thing away from today in this, is take this model, right? Ask yourself today, sitting here, you're all anxious, almost all of you raise your hand. You're all anxious about something. You're anxious about that bear coming out of the woods. Ask yourself, what is that bear? So as you're sitting in your seat, you might be anxious about talking to the person next to you. Last night, Wes challenged you to talk to 3 people that you don't know. That's trying to get through that anxiety, right? So as you go through the next 2 days, you're going to see content that you may not have seen before. You may say to yourself, I can't believe these other businesses are that much farther ahead than me. I should be doing this. I'm not doing this. So don't judge yourself. The other thing we do when we create this environment for you to be vulnerable is we don't judge. We ask, but we don't judge. And what we ask is don't judge yourself, because you guys are here because you've been successful. And a lot of times you're really hard on one another or yourself, right? So give yourself some slack. Don't judge yourself. We're not going to judge you. And I think that's where we're seeing our shift in how we work with clients. The technical stuff is the technical stuff. When you have the answer, you see the technical stuff, you guys are really smart, you know what to do. There's generally a thought that's holding you back from doing that. And that's where we find ourselves working with clients today. So as I leave you today, I want you to think about what your bear is. It may sound funny, but I know every one of you has one, right? Right now, a decision that you're thinking about that is creating all kinds of anxiety for you. And it may be, I should be back at work doing something. I should have brought more members of my team. Whatever it is, okay? Or it might be a bigger decision. When you feel that, try and get yourself back to the thought. What thought is taking you there? And see if you can change that thought. And one way to do that is just ask yourself, what's the opportunity? What's the opportunity here? So the next couple days, I want you to ask yourself, instead of saying, I should be doing this or I could be doing this, ask yourself, what's the opportunity for me? Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your 2 days.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Luisi, and I have the extreme honor of serving as Aileron's Director of Research and Development. And thanks to Chuck, he teed up well what the R&D function is, which is to create those safe learning environments for you to do your best thinking. And it's a job we take seriously because of the impact that it has on people's lives, their businesses, and their families. And the impact doesn't happen because of any one person or any small group of people. It happens because of every single person in this room. And you may be thinking, okay, how can that be? Because I've never sat in this room before, or I've never been to Aileron before. But we think it's safe to say that by nature of sitting in these chairs today, that you have those shared beliefs that Joni mentioned. And thanks to Chuck teaching us this model, we know that those shared beliefs drive our thoughts. And so today, I'd like to share with you one thought that potentially is new to you, but it's founded in our values and beliefs as a community, and I believe that it can change the world. That thought is, working together we can have the most impact on people's lives. Not a novel idea, right? But easier said than done. I mean, think of it. Think of a time when you've tried to work together in a team environment and perhaps it fell a little short. And so that's why we've created the R&D system, which allows us as a community to work together effectively. So let me show you this system using Summit as an example. So first, we start with you. We start with our customers, and we listen, and we ask questions. So we'll ask Joe. We'll say, hey, Joe, as president of the Moats Group, how would you describe your role in the company, which we heard earlier this morning has changed over the years? And then ask, well, what gets in your way of doing that job? What is the pain? Or we'll ask Heather. Heather, as production manager of Ramco Electric, how would you describe your job, which has changed recently in a good way? And what would vastly improve your job and help you do your job a whole lot better? And so collectively, as we went across different customer groups and asked this question and listened, we heard 3 things for Summit. We heard that you want to create clarity across your organization, you want to build alignment across your teams, and you want to develop and attract the right people. And so that's what Summit set out to do. That's the gift we share these next 2 days, and you'll see that play out in the schedule. And this system, we don't just use it for Summit. So for example, years ago, folks leaving the course for presidents, we heard time and time again, I heard Clay talk about the value of an outside board, and I really want one. But then reality sets in when you get back to the office, and it can be daunting to try and find board members or even start putting materials together for your board meeting from scratch. So we created the gift of the Creating a Board service. Another more recent example is we heard, I'm doing a lot of great work with Aileron. I've got my strategic planning documents. I'm working on my own leadership growth with a coach. Got my business advisor time together. And there's a lot of great work going on, but it's in a lot of different places and potentially getting lost. So we've created Aileron's Journey tool, which if you attend that breakout session named Building Your Professional Management Journey, you'll actually get an alpha version of that tool. And so while all of this is great, we're hearing your thoughts, we're listening as a community, it's equally important that we challenge our own thoughts. So just like in strategic planning, when we go externally, we also are trying to curate the best of the best. So again, using Summit as an example, you'll find that the next 2 days, you'll spend about 80% of your time in working sessions. So research shows that if you're right away using and implementing the tools, you're way more likely to have impact back at the office and then see that sustainable change. Another example, looking externally, we found that it's great to get a bunch of new ideas. Probably many of you have gone, this is not your first conference, so you leave with many new ideas, but we have found that it's more impactful if it's all connected back, if those thoughts are connected back to the Aileron's professional management system, and that they're connected back to what you asked for, which was the creating clarity, building alignment, and developing and attracting the right people. So you'll see that play out the next 2 days. And what's amazing is combining the thought leadership from across the country and your thoughts as a community, we literally created that gift of Summit. And so I think we owe each other a round of applause for the gift of Summit. Thank you. And what gets me even more jazzed up is by continuing to use this system, I know that when you're sitting in these chairs next year, you'll be applauding yourselves again and for not only creating Summit 2019, but shaping all that the Aileron community has to offer. So just as a sneak peek of what we're hearing right now for the future of our community, we're hearing that as we evolve this system, as we continue to have new tools, new approaches, it can be a lot. It can be overwhelming. You learn one new thing, and then all of a sudden something else pops up. So we're hearing you, and we want to respond in ways that makes it easier and simple, not only for you to navigate, but also for your team to cascade it down. Which leads me to the other thing we're hearing. We're hearing that this is a way of life. professional management, professionally managing an organization is a cultural thing. And so how can we better help equip you as a community to not only take it back as those sitting in this room, but be able to cascade it and have your other leaders, your whole organization, empowered to use the tools. So thank you in advance. We'll continue to listen to you, respond with those valuable gifts, and thank you for giving the gift of your thoughts with one another these next 2 days. I still love Wes's challenge from the welcome reception yesterday. Give yourself a permission slip to just get into a conversation with some new people you know. And thank you for continuing to give us your thoughts to help shape the Aileron community. I know we have no doubt that if we work together, we will build a better future for the next generation. And we will see our vision become a reality, which is to see those thriving businesses across America. Thank you.